Well, hi, my name is Enelilani Merino Baena, and I'm going to um, share about the subjects that I choose on the last class. This is the final work of Morfología de la Lengua, and I'm going to start with what is morphology. Morphology is the study of words, how they are formed, and their relationship to other words in the same language. It analyzes the structure of words and parts of words, such as themes, root, words, prefixes, and suffixes. Morphology also looks at parts of speech, intonation, and stress, and the ways context can change a word pronunciation and meaning. Morphology differs from morphological typology, which is a classification of languages based on their use of words, and lexicology, which is the study of words and how they make up a language's vocabulary. Well, I think that the morphology is important because thanks to this we learned about how in other languages the words are formed, and I think that that is so curious and interest. I'm going to change. Well, I choose uh explain about the compound words. Well, the compound words are when two words are used together to yield a new meaning. A compound is formed. Compound words can be written in three ways: as open compounds, that is spelled as two words, for example, ice cream; closed compounds, joined to form a single word, for example, darken up; or hyphenated compounds, that there are two words joined by a hyphen, for example, long term. Sometimes more than two words can form a compound, for example, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, etc. The most common spelling quandary writers face is whether to whether to write compounds as separate words, one word, or hyphenated words. Well, the open compounds is created in cases when the modifying adjective is used with its noun to create a new noun. This isn't quite the same as a noun with a modifying adjective. We just use a space between the adjective and the noun. So sometimes it can be hard to identify as a compound. However, if the two words are commonly used together, it's considered to be a compound word. When the adverbs ending in ly combine with another word, the result compound is always spelled as two separate words. For example, uh, newly formed. Well, I'm going to talk now about the close compound words. Um, these look like one word. At one point, these words weren't used together, but they are now accepted to be as a real word in the English language. Close compound words are usually made up of only two words. For example, we can find these words like notebook, Superman, fireman, and there are other words, of course, like you can see in the examples on the screen, like sunset, mm, farmhouse, etc. There are a lot kind or examples. So now I'm going to explain about the hyphenated compounds words. Well, there are great many grammar rules regarding hyphens in compound words. One important rule of thumb to remember is that in most cases a compound adjective is hyphenated if placed before the noun it modifies, but not if placed after the noun. For example, a long-term solution. But the other way of this is not a good solution for the long term. This is just one of many rules concerning hyphens in compound words, and it is often necessary to consult the dictionary to deter- determine whether this term should be hyphenated or not. So now I'm going to change to the other. How I can change it? Let's see. Oh no. Well, now I'm going to talk about the verbs. What is a verb? Well, verbs are the action words in a sentence that describe what the subject is doing, along with nouns. Verbs are the main part of a sentence or phrase, telling a story about what is taking place. In fact, without a verb, full thoughts can be properly conveyed, and even the simplest sentence, such as Maria sings, have one. Actually, a verb can be a sentence by itself with the subject. It must case it it must case you implied, such as sing and drive. How we can recognize a verb? Well, verbs almost always come after a noun or pronoun. These nouns and pronouns are referred to as the subject. The verb thought comes after the noun Jack. So, action Jack, the subject, was taking, was thinking. So, that is the verb. And other examples could be uh, we went to the market. So, we can find here the noun, the subject, and the verb. And we can find many different verbs, or well uh, many types of verbs, like physical verbs. Then it means action verbs that describe a specific physical actions, for example run, jump, and that kind. We could find mental verbs that have meaning that are related to concepts such as discovering. For example, um, thinking or planning in general. A mental verb refers to a cognitive state, also known as linking verbs. A state of being verbs describe conditions or situations that exist. We can find ac- action verbs that express specific actions and are used anytime you want to show action or discuss someone doing something. We can find two transitive verbs that are action verbs that always express double activities that relate or affect someone or something else. Sorry. And we have two the intransitive verbs, that there are action verbs that always express double activities. They are different from transitive verbs because there is no direct object following intransitive verb. We can find two auxiliary verbs that there are also known as helping verbs and are used together with a main verb to show the verb tense or to form a question or negative. For example, of this one is that the examples of auxiliary verbs always include have, might, will, and these auxiliary verbs give some context to the main verb. For example, letting the reader reader know when the action took place, and that kind. We have two destitutive verbs that can be recognized because they express a state rather than an action. The phrasal verbs that aren't single words instead, they are they are combinations of words that are used together to take on a different meaning to that of the um, original verb. There are many examples of phrasal verbs, some of which have colloquial meanings such as make up, hand in, bring up, point up, look forward to. And we can find too the irregular verbs that are those that don't take on the regular spelling patterns of past simple and past participle verb. Unfortunately, there are hundreds of irregular verbs in the English language, but I think that this is not a problem. While many are used often, the majority are not in common usage. So I think that it helps us. And these, well, those are the different verbs that we can find. Now I'm going to explain about the conjun conjunct conjunctions. Well, I don't know if I am telling this right because it's difficult to pronunciate. I'm sorry for that. But what are conjunctions? These are words that link other words or phrases or clauses together. Con Conjunctions allow you to form complex, elegant sentence and avoid the cho choppiness of multiple short sentence. Make sure that the phrases joined by conjunctions are parallel, share the same structure. For example, we have the sentence I work quickly and careful, and I work quickly and carefully. And in these examples, the first one is the one that is right. So um, we could find different kind of conjunctions like correlative conjunctions that are pairs of conjunctions that work together. Some examples are either or, neither, and not, or but. Um, we can find two subordinate conjunctions. I'm sorry, teacher. I'm so sorry for that. um, that join independent and depend clauses and subordinating conjunction can signal a cause and effect relationship. So, um, I think that this is all that I have to say about conjunct, conjunct, conjunctions. Yeah. I'm sorry for my pronunciation, teacher. Don't hate me. I'm going to be better someday. So now I'm going to talk about the adverbs. Uh, an adverb is a word that is used to change, modify, or qualify several types of words, including an adjective, a verb, a clause, another adverb, or any other type of word or phrase, with the exception of determiners and adjectives that directly modify nouns. A good way to understand adverbs is to think about them as the words that provide context. Specifically, specifically, I'm sorry. Adverbs provide a description of how, where, when, in what manner, and to what extent something is done or happens. Normally, we can spot an adverb by the fact that it often ends in L and Y, but there are lots of adverbs that don't end in this way. Mm, Adverbs can be used in many combinations with each other. Mm, my sister is here. Well, adverbs can always be used to modify verbs. Notice that the second of these two examples that I'm going to give you is more interesting, simple, because it contains an adverb. For this is the example. I'm going to say it. The dog ran. Well, you can picture a dog running, but you don't really know how much or more about the scene. So the dog ran so quickly. You can picture a dog running, wagging its tail, petting happily, and looking glad to see its owner. You can paint a much more interesting picture in your head when you know how or why the dog is running. Adverbs are often formed by adding the letters ly, as I say in the beginning, to adjectives. And how I say it helps us to modify an adjective, a verb, a clause, an adverb. And I think that I did this in, well, we can find different kind of adverbs, like the adverbs of manner that explain how an action is carried out. Very often adverbs of manner are adjectives with ly. And we can find two adverbs of place that sometimes called as special adverbs that will help explain where an action happens. Adverbs of place will be associated with the action of the verb in a sentence, providing context for direction, distance, and position. We also can find adverbs of frequency that are used to express time or how often something happens or occurs. Uh, this can be split to main groups. The first adverbs of indefinite frequency are terms that have an unclear meaning as to how long or how often something occurs. Usually, always, normally, these adverbs will usually be placed after the main verb or between the auxiliary verb and infinitive. We can find adverbs of time, while seemingly similar to adverb of frequency, tell us when something happens, and usually are placed at the end of a sentence. Um, it explains in the following sentence are involved for easy identification. For example, I will see you. Harvey forgot his lunch yesterday and again today. Um, that kind of uh, examples. Sentence. I'm sorry. Um, we could find two adverbs of purpose, sometimes called adverbs of reason, that help to describe why something happened. For example, I was sick. No. Well, yes, I was sick, so I didn't go to work today. No, something like that. We can find too the position of adverbs that are not fixed or set thing. As you have seen, adverbs can appear in different positions in a sentence. However, there are some rules that help us decide where an adverb should be positioned. Mm, and we have order of adverbs. So all these are the ones that I say: adverbs of manner, adverbs of place, adverbs of frequency, adverbs of time, adverbs of pur- purpose. And well, I think that this is all that I'm going to say because this is going to finish, I think. But my conclusion, I really enjoyed your classes, teacher. I I found them funny, entertaining, and I really hope that this helped me to be a great teacher. And I know that I am not the greatest one, but I'm going to try it. And I learned that all these words and the meaning of these words and how we can use it are important because is how we speak. No, at the end of the day, it's how we express with another person or other persons, like on the class. And I think that this is important and these were good. And thank you to listen to me and to watch me. Well, my window is closed, so I'm sorry. You can see me. Oh, thank you. And bye.